Hello everyone, my name is Chi Vang, and this presentation is for Cyber 332 Cybersecurity Principles and Applications at Metro State University. Our presentation is titled Password Security and Multi-Factor Authentication. In this video, I will explain how passwords become compromised, what makes a password more secure, how password managers help, and why MFA provides an additional layer of protection. I will also demonstrate a password generator and enable multi-factor authentication on temporary accounts. This presentation and all demonstrations are for educational purposes only. I will not display any real passwords, private accounts, setup keys, or QR codes or recovery codes. Presentation has 5 main parts. First, I will introduce the topic and explain why account security matters. Second, I will discuss authentication, common password attacks, and modern password practices. Third, I will perform 2 demonstrations. The first to use a password generator, and the second to show how multi-factor authentication changes the login process. Fourth, I will summarize practical actions that people can take to protect their accounts. Finally, I will show the sources used in my research. Disclaimer: this information provided is for general informational purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. While reasonable efforts are made to ensure accuracy, no guarantee is given that the information is complete, current, or error-free. Any actions taken based on this information are at your own risk. Please consult a qualified professional for advice specific to your situation. Why account security matters. Account security is important because stolen passwords can lead to much more than access to one website. For example, email accounts are especially important because they are often used to reset passwords for other services. If somebody gains access to a person's email, they may be able to reset passwords for social media, shopping, banking, school, or cloud storage accounts. Account security can also be connected to the CIA triad. Confidentially means information can only be accessed by authorized people. If an attack signs into an account and reads private emails or download files confidentially has been compromised. Integrity means that information remains accurate and is not changed without authorization. An attack could change contact information, modify documents, send messages as the victim, or alter account settings. Availability means authorized users can access their accounts and information when needed. An attacker could change the password, delete information, or lock the real owner out. Password reuse makes these risks more serious. If the same password is used on several websites, a breach of one website can place all other accounts at risk. The key message is that account protection should be based on several security layers rather than one password. The next slide is authentication. In simple words, a login is part of a larger access control process. Identification occurs when I claim an identity. For example, I enter a username or email address and tell the system which account I want to use. Authentication occurs when I prove that I am the account owner. A password is one type of authentication credential. Authorization happens after authentication. It determines which files, services, settings, or other resources my account is allowed to use. The final step is accounting. Accounting records count activity in logs. These logs may show when someone is signed in, where the login came from, and what actions were taken. Multi-factor authentication combines credentials from different factor categories. Something you know includes a password or PIN. Something you have includes a smartphone, authenticator application, smart card, or security key. Something you are includes biometric characteristics such as fingerprints or facial scan. It is important to use different factor types. A password and a PIN are both something you know. Therefore, using both does not create true multi-factor authentication. Next up is how passwords get compromised. Attackers do not always break advanced encryption. They frequently take advantage of predictable passwords, reuse credentials, malware, or human trust. A brute force attack makes many password guesses against one account. Short passwords are generally easier to guess because there are fewer possible combinations. A dictionary attack uses lists of common words, names, dates, keyboard patterns, previously exposed passwords. The attacker does not literally use words from a dictionary. The list may contain millions of common password patterns. Credential stuffing happens when username and passwords stolen from one service are tested on other services. This attack succeeds when people reuse passwords. For example, suppose someone uses the same password for a shopping site and an email account. If the shopping site experiences a breach, an attacker may test those stolen credentials against the email provider. Password spraying works differently. Instead of trying many passwords against one account, the attacker tries one common password against many accounts. This may help the attacker avoid triggering an account lockout policy. Phishing uses deception. An attacker sends a fake message or creates a fake login page that looks like a legitimate service. The victim is tricked into entering a real password. Malware and keyloggers may also capture credentials. A keylogger records what a user types, while other malware may steal browser data or login sessions. A strong password can resist guessing, but it cannot stop someone from voluntarily entering it into a phishing page or having it captured by malware. That is why several security controls are necessary. The next slide is better password strategy. Modern password guidance focuses on length, uniqueness, blocking commonly compromised passwords, and making password managers easy to use. People should avoid short passwords, reuse passwords, predictable patterns, and patterns based on personal information. Security questions are also weak when the answers can be discovered through social media, public records, and ordinary guessing. Instead, every important account should have long and unique passwords. A random generator can create a password that does not follow normal human patterns. A password manager make this practical because users do not have to memorize every password. They mainly need to protect the password manager itself. NS, NSI, NS, NIST guidance emphasizes longer passwords instead of forcing users to add predictable combinations of capital letters, numbers, and symbols. It also recommends allowing password managers, autofills, and pasted passwords. NIST does not recommend forcing routine password changes without evidence that the password has been compromised. Frequent frequent forced changes can cause users to create predictable patterns, such as changing password 1 to password 2. A password should be changed immediately if it has been exposed, reused, shared, or expected of compromise. For this slide, I will now demonstrate how a password generator can create unique credentials. I am using fictional examples only. I will not open my real password vault or display a real mastered password. First, I'll show a weak password such as summer 2026 exclamation mark. It contains uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbol, but it's still predictable. Summer is a common word. 2026 is the current year. and the symbol appears in a common location at the end. This shows why complexity rules alone do not guarantee a strong password. I will now use a generator to create a random password. I can select the password length and include letters, numbers, and symbols. I will set the length to at least 20 characters or 21. This generated the result of a difficult to remember password, but it's not an issue when it can be stored in a password manager. I will now generate a shorter password and then a longer one. Increasing the length expands the number of possible combinations. This makes guessing more difficult, especially when the password is randomly generated. For example, like this, it goes from weak to good to strong, and the correct time takes centuries compared to 10 seconds. Some generators can also create passphrases made from several unrelated words. Such, for example, Bitwarden can make a passphrase based on words and numbers and have a word separator that you could decide. It could go from 3 words all the way to 20 words, and the strength will be strong, and the time to crack will be centuries. All these words are randomized and have no coherent meaning together. Now it's time to explain the password manager. The password manager can generate and save different passwords for each account. This prevents one website breach from exposing every other account through credential stuffing. The password manager must also be protected. The user should create a strong master password, enable an MFA on the vault, keep the software updated, and understand the recovery process. The strongest benefit is uniqueness. Password managers make it realistic to use a different random password on every service. Next is multi-factor authentication methods. MFA creates a second barrier, but different MFA methods do not provide the same protection. SMS and voice codes are better than having no MFA. However, text messages may be affected by phone number theft, social engineering, interception, or phishing. An authenticator application generates temporary one-time code. It does not depend on receiving a text message, but code can still be stolen if the user enters it into a convincing phishing site. Push authenticator push authentication sends approval request to a trusted device. Number matching improves this process by requiring the user to compare or enter a number instead of simply pressing approve. Users should never approve a request they did not initiate. Attackers may send many notifications and hope that the victim eventually accepts one. Passkeys and hardware security keys use cryptographic authentication and can provide phishing-resistant protection. Rather than asking the user to type a reusable secret into a website, the device provides possession of a protected credential. The general progression shown on this slide moves from lower resistance to higher resistance. Users should prefer phishing resistant methods. For my second demonstration, I will enable MFA on a temporary account. I'm not using I'm not using my primary email or personal account. I'll also hide the QR code, setup key, recovery codes, phone number, and password. So what I'm gonna show here is going to a temporary account and open its security settings. I'm gonna block out this so it won't be seen. So let's go to the settings, security and sign in. Depending on the service, this option may be called multi-factor authentication, two-factor authentication, two-step verification, or login verification. For us, it's called two-step verification right here. And as you see, it's set off. We will enable it. These are all the options. Next, I will select the authenticator application option. The account will now display a QR code or a sub key. This contains the secret used to connect to an account on to the authenticator. I'll treat it as a password, so I would be blocking it or blurring it. I'll scan the code with the application and enter the temporary code to confirm enrollment. Because of Google's security policy, the authenticator app does not allow be screen recorded. So I will add the code here and then type the code in after scanning the QR code. Now we move on to the 6-digit code, and now it's been activated by this. There we go. Servers may also provide recovery codes. These are emergency credentials that can restore access if the second factor device is lost. Recovery codes should be stored securely and separately from the account they recover. They should never be displayed publicly or sent to another person. Now we have two-step verification on. Now let's log off and see if it works. Now I gotta get the code from the Google Authenticator, which I have here. Now I'm able to log in. The account accepts the username and password, but it does not grant access yet. Access was not granted until the second factor was provided. This demonstrates the main benefit of MFA. An attacker who has only the password may still be unable to enter the account because of the two-step verification. This slide is called Common Password and MFA Myths. There are several common misunderstandings about account security. The first myth is that a complicated password can be reused safely. This is false because reuse allows stuffing. Even a strong password becomes unsafe on other accounts after it is exposed by one service. Second myth is that password and PIN counts as MFA. They do not because they are both knowledge vectors, something the user knows. MFA requires different vector categories. The third myth is that MFA makes phishing impossible. MFA greatly reduces many password attacks, but traditional codes push notifications can still be stolen or socially engineered. For example, fake login page may collect both the password and the current one-time code. An attacker may also send repeated push requests and hope the victim approves one. The fourth myth is that biometrics always replace passwords. In many passkey and device login systems, a fingerprint or facial scan unlocks a credential stored on the device. The biometric itself is not necessarily transmitted to the website. The larger lesson is that no single control solves every problem. Conclude, strong account security combines multiple protective measures. First, use long and unique passwords. Second, store those passwords in a reputable password manager rather than reusing one password. Third, enable MFA on important accounts, especially email, banking, school, work, cloud storage, and the password manager itself. Fourth, prefer an authenticator application, passkey or security key over SMS when stronger options are available. Fifth, deny unexpected MFA prompts. If I receive a sign-in request that I did not uh, initiate, I should deny it. Change the account password, review recent account activity, and report it when it involves school or workplace accounts. Finally, never share passwords, authentication codes, QR codes, setup keys, or recovery codes. The main lesson is to secure passwords, safe storage, MFA, user awareness, and account monitoring work together as layers of protection. Thank you for watching.